Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about tenses. We have a lot of them in English, and those of you who have been following this channel for a while know that I have already recorded a big video about all the tenses of the English language. I'll leave a link to that video in the description to this one, so that you can check it if you wish. Today I'd like to highlight two particular tenses, as the choice between them is probably one of the most difficult for English learners to make. And these tenses I'm talking about are the present perfect tense and the past simple tense. I believe you know well how they are formed, and I hope that you know the table of the regular verbs by heart. I'll leave a link to a version of it in the description to this video, in case you want to refresh your knowledge. The difficulty that many English learners struggle with here is how to identify which tense they need to use when they speak about the past, the present perfect tense or the past simple tense. In most cases, this difficulty is dictated by the lack of perfect tenses in their native languages. This way, they have to grasp the concept of perfect tenses first, which might be quite tricky. If this is something that you find difficult to do too, today I invite you to address this issue so that there are no blank spots left. I hope that after watching this video, it will be much easier for you to use the present perfect tense and the past perfect tense appropriately. So let's begin. As you probably know, we have three simple tenses, or as they are also called, indefinite tenses, and these are present simple tense, past simple tense, and future simple tense. And we have three perfect tenses: present perfect tense, past perfect tense, and future perfect tense. On my channel, I already have a big video about all the tenses in the English language. That video is pretty long, but it covers all the tenses that we have, and all the markers of those tenses, all the rules that you need to know about each of the tenses. So probably this is something that you want to watch first before you proceed with this video. Today we'll be talking about the difference between two tenses, specifically about the past simple tense and the present perfect tense. Let us begin with the past simple tense. The past simple tense, as you probably know, speaks about a completed past action when the time of this action is specified. It is very important because here we are talking about something that happened in the past, and we don't know whether it is connected to the present or not. That is not important. The action happened in a finished period of time in the past. I'll remind you that the past simple tense is formed with the help of the ending ed, or if the verb that we are dealing with is irregular, with the help of a specific form that we can learn in the table of the irregular verbs of English. If we need to form a negative sentence or a question, we use the auxiliary verb did. This is how it is formed. The markers of this tense, or those words that help us identify what tense we should use, are yesterday, last, like last month, last week, last year, last century, ago, like 1 month ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on, and in 1990, or in any other particular year. Let's see the examples. Jane found a $50 banknote in the park yesterday. We see yesterday, so we obviously are talking about a particular moment in the past. Jane found. Found is the second form or the past form of the verb to find. It is an irregular verb, right? We say find, found, found. So Jane found a $50 banknote in the park yesterday. We use the past simple tense because we are talking about a particular moment in the past. And the word yesterday is the adverb that shows us what tense we must use. Another example. We traveled to Rome last month. Traveled is in the past simple tense. Why? Because the adverb last month tells us that we are talking about a particular moment in the past. This song was very popular 2 years ago. Again, we see ago, and this is our marker. This is what helps us identify what tense we should use. We should use the past simple tense. This song was very popular 2 years ago, and we don't know whether it is popular now or not. It is not important. What is important is that we are talking about a specific moment or period of time in the past. And the last example here, this school was founded in 1965. What we see here in this last sentence is the passive voice, was founded. Why do we say was founded and not has been founded? Because we specify a year. In 1965, in a particular moment of time in the past. If we look at this little graph, we'll see that in the past simple tense, we're talking about a particular moment in the past. And do you see this vertical line? This vertical line divides our horizontal timeline into two sections, the past and the present. What we are dealing with in the past simple tense belongs to the past and it has no connection to the present. So, in the past simple tense, what is important is that the action happened in the past. What is not important is whether the action happened once or repeated many times, whether the action happened recently or a long time ago, whether the action is somehow connected to the present or not, and the duration is also unimportant. Let's look at these two sentences. The first is, Donald bought a van. Looking at this sentence, can we say whether he still owns a van or not? Can we say whether it happened a couple of hours ago or several years ago? No. What this sentence tells us is that there was such an action in the past. Donald bought a van. That's it. We know that it happened at some point in the past. This sentence doesn't tell us whether this action is connected to the present, whether it has a result in the present or not. Let's look at another example. Alice played the drums. What does this sentence tell us? It tells us that Alice played the drums at some point in the past. Does she still play the drums? How long did she play the drums, and did she play the drums for a long period of time or not? These questions are not answered. We cannot answer these questions looking at this sentence. So, what you need to keep in mind when you think about the past simple tense is that in the past simple tense we are dealing with actions and things that happened in the past at a particular moment. Usually this moment is specified, but there is no such rule that tells you that you can use the past simple tense only with specific markers. No, you can just use a noun and a verb. The train stopped. It is the context that will give you more information, not the very sentence. So if you don't have one of those markers, ago, last, in a particular year, yesterday, and so on, it doesn't mean that you cannot or should not use the past simple tense. Now, the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense speaks about a past action when the period of time at which the action happened is not specified. So, we are speaking about a past action just the way we did in the past simple tense, but in this case it is not important for us when exactly this action happened. So we do not specify the time. And this is a crucial feature of this tense. Present perfect always suggests that there is a relationship between present and past time. The markers, or those adverbs of time that help us identify that this is the present perfect tense, are recently, lately, already, just, yet, since, for, and this, like this month, this year, this century, and so on. What we want to highlight when we speak about the present perfect tense is that the action that happened in the past is connected to the present. How do we form the present perfect tense? The present perfect tense is a compound tense. What does it mean? It means that it always goes with an auxiliary verb. In this case, it is have. The main verb should be in its third form, if it is an irregular verb or have the ending ed. So we say, I have bought, she has seen, they have traveled, and so on. Now let's look at some examples. Adult coloring books have become popular recently. Have become is the present perfect tense. The verb to become is irregular, and its first and third forms are the same. We say become, became, become. What does the sentence tell us? It tells us that adult coloring books have become popular, and they are still popular. They have become popular and they are now. So we see the consequence in the present. The situation that we are talking about is in between the past and the present. Another example, I haven't felt very well lately. We see lately, and lately tells us that we are talking about a period of time that started in the past and still goes on. I haven't felt very well lately and I still feel unwell. Dave has already pruned the apple trees. Why do we use the present perfect tense? Because we have a result in the present. He has pruned the trees and now they are pruned. If we said Dave pruned the apple trees, the outcome wouldn't be clear for us. We wouldn't know whether the trees are pruned now or the branches have already grown. Because Dave pruned the apple trees, presume that it happened at some moment in the past and it is not connected to the present. He pruned them last summer, for instance, or 5 years ago. But he has already pruned the apple trees and now no pruning is needed for this season. You see? Monica has just finished reading her son's essay. Just is another word, another adverb that helps us see that this is the present perfect tense. She has just finished, and now she knows what this essay is about. I haven't vacuumed the floor yet. This sentence means that I haven't vacuumed it yet and it is still dirty. Maybe I will do it in an hour, maybe I will not. But what we are talking about here is the connection between the action that wasn't done and the present. If we didn't want to connect these two, we would say I didn't vacuum the floor. That's it, and I will not vacuum it. I consider it to be a finished period of time. I am not going to return to this question, to this problem yet, but I haven't vacuumed the floor yet tells our interlocutor or our reader that the subject of the sentence, I, is still going to perform the action. The last example here, have you seen them today or this week or this month? What are we talking about here? We are talking about an unfinished period of time. Today has not finished yet. This month or this week has not finished yet. Maybe we will see them later today or tomorrow or in 5 days, which will still be the same month, right? So we consider it to be an unfinished period of time. That's why we use the present perfect tense. If we wanted to use the past simple tense, we would need different adverbs. For instance, did you see them yesterday? Or did you see them last year? Or simply, did you see them? If we presume that the action is not possible anymore. If it's something that was possible like 5 hours ago, but is not possible anymore. Did you see them? If you look at this graph, you will see that the present perfect tense is situated somewhere in between the present and the past. And it stretches from the past to the present. It brings the result of the action to the present. What is important here? The action did happen in the past, but the result of this action that we are concerned with is still in the present. We are still somehow connected to that action. So, in the present perfect tense, what is important for us is the impact of the action, how it influences the present. What is not important is when and where exactly the action happened. When we study the topic of the present perfect tense, when we compare the present perfect tense to the past simple tense, my students sometimes ask me, okay, why do we say Bell invented the phone in 1876 if the result of his invention is still important for us today? We still use this invention, we still use phones, so how is it possible that it is not connected to the present? In the sentence Bell invented the phone in 1876, we speak about a particular year, particular moment of time. The time of the invention. Bell invented the phone in 1876. We are talking about this episode, a particular day in the history of the world. But in the sentence, I have bought a phone, we are talking about a result that impacts our today. I have bought it and now I have it. We do not specify a particular moment when it happened. What we are talking about here is the fact that we now possess a phone. Okay, and this is the principal difference. When we speak about the present perfect tense, we should keep in mind that there are like two types of the present perfect tense. It doesn't mean that we are speaking about two different formulas or two separate forms of the present perfect tense. It's just that we can divide all the cases when we use the present perfect into two big groups. We speak about the so-called up to now present perfect and the result present perfect. These two can be intertwined and often are, but let me demonstrate what I mean with examples. The up to now present perfect. We've lived in this house for 10 years. How long have you worked for this company? They've studied this subject for years now. You see, in these sentences, what we are talking about is an unfinished period of time when something goes on and has been going on for a while, and chances are will go on for a while. This is what we call the up to now present perfect. The result present perfect. I have finished the essay, and now I have it written. She has done 70 projects for this company. They have already studied this topic at school, and now they know it. And the last one, Tom has broken your cup. And now you don't have a cup, because now it is broken. Pay attention to this last sentence, because this is something that I see that some students find difficult. What they say is that, okay, I don't have a cup anymore, so the cup is finished. Why doesn't it remain in the past? Because the outcome of the action exists. The fact that you now don't have a cup, but you had it in the past, is the result that we're talking about. Tom has broken my cup and now I don't have it. This is the result present perfect. The up to now present perfect sometimes can be interchangeable with the present perfect continuous. That's when you want to highlight that something has been going on for a really long time. For instance, you can say, I've lived in this house for 10 years, or you can use the present perfect continuous tense and say that I have been living or we have been living in this house for 10 years. This way you'll highlight or stress the period of time, that this is a long period of time for you, 10 years. Now let's return to the comparison of the past simple tense and the present perfect tense. Looking at these two graphs, we see that when we speak about the past simple tense, we speak about a particular moment in the past. And this is where our action happened yesterday, last month, 5 years ago, or in 1990. When we speak about the present perfect, we speak about something that happened in the past, but has brought some results to the present. And the adverbs that we use with the present perfect tense are recently, lately, already, just, yet, since, for, and this. When we speak about an unfinished day or an unfinished week, we say this day, this week, this month, this year, and so on. Let's juxtapose these two tenses using similar examples. In the past simple, we can say, Donald bought a van. And as we have already discussed, from this sentence it is not clear whether Donald still has this van or not. Donald has bought a van tells us that Donald still has a van. It is still in his possession. Probably this is something that has happened recently. Maria went to Spain. From this sentence, we know that it happened at some point in the past. We don't know whether Maria now is in Spain or not. We just know that such thing happened in her life. Maria has gone to Spain. Clearly tells us that she now is in Spain. She has gone to Spain and she hasn't returned yet. Tyler never called back, period. We call it a day. We do not connect that action to the present. He never called back. And we do not expect him to call anymore. Tyler hasn't called back yet. From this sentence, we understand that the speaker is still waiting for Tyler's call. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe it will happen in an hour or in a day. We are still waiting for Tyler's call. Did you ever perform in Japan? We can put such a question to somebody who was in a band or who was a performer in the past but doesn't perform anymore. Did you ever perform in Japan when you sang in a band or when you played in a band? Have you ever performed in Japan? This question we can put to somebody who is still in a band, who is still a performer, a singer, a musician, and so on. Have you ever performed? And the person can answer, not yet, but probably I will someday. I hope the difference between these two sets of sentences is clear. Let's look at some more examples. Jane has lived here all her life, and Jane lived here all her life. What is the difference between these two sentences? What information does each of them give us? The first sentence, Jane has lived here all her life, makes us understand that Jane is still alive and she is still living in that house. The second sentence, Jane lived here all her life, makes it clear that Jane has passed on. We are talking about a dead person here. Jane lived all her life when she was alive, but she is not alive anymore. Sandy has watered the flowers this morning. Sandy watered the flowers this morning. What is the difference between these two sentences? Sandy has watered the flowers tells us that it's still morning. Sandy watered the flowers this morning tells us that it's already afternoon or later. The morning of the day has already finished. Now, we have booked the tickets this afternoon. We booked the tickets this afternoon. We have already booked the tickets. And we booked the tickets. What is the difference here? We have booked the ticket this afternoon means it's still afternoon. We booked the ticket this afternoon means that the afternoon has already finished and it's already evening. We have already booked the tickets. This sentence draws our interlocutor's attention to the fact that now we have the tickets. We have already booked them and we booked the tickets. In this case, it's not clear whether they have the tickets or not. This sentence only tells us that such a thing as booking the tickets happened at some point in the past. We booked the tickets is not connected to the present. It does not show us any result in the present. Another thing that I want to mention is that usually we cannot use those adverbs of time that we use in the past simple tense with the present perfect tense. The words last, ago, yesterday, in 1995, for instance, can never go with the present perfect tense. They must always be used with the past simple tense. Consequently, the words recently, lately, yet, just, since can never be used with the past simple tense. They are always used with the present perfect tense. But there are adverbs of time that can be used with both tenses. The adverbs I'm talking about are ever and never. Let me show you a couple of examples. Did you ever hear a mockingbird sing? And have you ever heard a mockingbird sing? Both sentences are absolutely correct. The tenses are different, and that gives us a hint that we are talking about two different periods of time. If I add an additional piece of information, everything will hopefully become clear. Let's see. Did you ever hear a mockingbird sing when you lived in America? And have you ever heard a mockingbird sing in your life? In the second case, we're talking about the whole life of this person. So, has he or she ever heard a mockingbird? The answer could be yes, I have, or no, I haven't, or no, I haven't yet, because that still can happen in the future. The first sentence, did you ever hear a mockingbird sing when you lived in America, shows us that we are talking about a closed, a finished period of time when this person lived in America. But he or she is not in America anymore. Now, I told you that the past simple tense speaks about a particular moment of time in the past. That's why when we ask those particularizing questions, when we want to know when exactly something happened or where it happened, we do not use the present perfect, we use the past simple. Let's look at these two little dialogues. We have seen Michael. When did you see him? One person tells another person that he or she has, obviously recently, seen Michael. It's a piece of news. And the question, when did you see him, though it is asked about the same instance, should go in the past simple tense because it is a particularizing question. It asks about a particular moment of time. So when plus present perfect is not possible. When should go with past simple. Another dialogue. I have bought a cool denim jacket. Where did you buy it? The particularizing question with where should go with past simple tense, not with the present perfect tense. Now let's have a little bit of practice. Let's do a little exercise in which we need to open the brackets and put the verbs in the correct forms. We'll be choosing between the present perfect tense and the past simple tense. The first sentence. We to a bar after the concert last night. The verb is go. What tense are we going to use here? We see last night and it clearly tells us that we're talking about a particular moment of time in the past. So go should become went, as this is the second form of the verb to go. It is an irregular verb. We went to a bar after the concert last night. Their children haven't finished their homework yet. Why do we choose the present perfect tense? Well, because we have yet. We are talking about an unfinished period of time. Chances are that they will finish it soon, but they haven't done it yet. The next one. The boy tripped on a root when he was running. This clause, when he was running, tells us that we are talking about a particular moment in the past. It is the same as to say yesterday or 5 hours ago, when he was running. Yeah? So he tripped, we use the past simple tense because we are talking about a particular moment in the past. The next sentence. We see in your life here, so obviously we are talking about somebody's life experience. And the life of this person obviously has not finished yet because we are addressing this person, right? We're not talking about somebody else. In that case, there would be options. Have you ever flown a plane in your life? When I last spoke to Jane, she decided to join her family in Italy. Again, we have a time clause, when I last spoke to Jane. At that moment, on that day, she decided. We're talking about a particular time in the past. In the past, that is finished. The next one, I haven't seen Alice since last summer. Though we have last summer, we also have since. And since last summer gives us a hint that we should use the up to now present perfect tense. I haven't seen Alice since that moment, and maybe I will see her in the future. The past is connected to the present and goes further to the future. I haven't seen her yet. Michael didn't see his neighbors when he visited his cottage last summer. We are speaking about the past. This past is finished last summer. Obviously, it is not summer anymore. Maybe it's winter or it's the next summer. So there and then, in the past, he didn't see his neighbors. Look, your granny has knitted a sweater for you. Pay attention to the verb to knit. It has two forms. It can be treated as an irregular verb and as a regular verb. As an irregular verb, it is knit, 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 and as a regular verb, it is knit, knitted, knitted. Please, before you comment on the mistakes in my videos, especially regarding the verb forms, check them in the dictionary or in the table of the irregular verbs. Knitted is a correct form, but you can also say knit. Why do we use the present perfect tense? Because we are speaking about the result that we hold in our hands. Look, here it is. She has knitted a sweater for you. I have paid the bills, and this is what we are left with for the rest of the month. I have paid the bills, and it impacted our present, the rest of this month. Now we have less money because I have paid the bills. The result is here. Mary has learned a lot to pass the exam tomorrow. The exam is still in the future, so the situation Mary is in, the result of her learning, is actual for her now, and it will impact her exam tomorrow. Mary learned a lot to pass that exam. That exam gives us a hint that we are talking about the past. She learned a lot and she passed the exam. Can you help me? I have lost my glasses and I'm still hoping to find them. That's why I say I have lost them, because if I say I lost my glasses, I'm not expecting to find them and I'm not asking for anybody's help. I lost my glasses and eventually I bought a new pair of glasses. And the last sentence, have you had breakfast? Not yet. Why do we use the present perfect here? Because we are interested in the result. Has this person had his breakfast or not? We don't specify any particular moment in the past. That means that we connect our question to the present. I hope that's clear. If you do have any particular questions about the difference between the present perfect tense and the past simple tense, please ask them in the comment section down below. This is all for today. As usual, I hope my video helped at least some of those who clicked on it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find what I'm doing useful. You may also consider supporting me here, because your support means a lot to me. It reminds me that what I'm doing here is important to some people out there and that I should continue doing what I'm doing. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.